Hi guys, today I'll be taking a look at a classic tactile switch, the Cherry MX Clear. Let's get started. Now, to kick things off, here's a fun fact. The MX Clear was introduced in 1988, 6 years prior to the introduction of the MX Brown in 1994. So yes, the MX Clear is the oldest switch between the two. Moreover, the Cherry MX Clear is more tactile and significantly heavier than the MX Brown switch, which is often preferred by many enthusiasts. In fact, to really bring that point home, a couple of modifications or Franken switches have been associated with MX Clears, such as Panda Clears and the ever popular Ergo Clears. Now, I don't want to get into too much details about Franken switches since that's a whole video on its own and I plan to cover them at some point. Now, in terms of pricing, these currently go for around £11 for 10 switches on AliExpress, placing them in the enthusiast category. These are not cheap, that's for sure. And this is what they look like when disassembled. Feel free to pause the video. Now, let's move on to the switch categories. On-center key presses are very smooth with only the tactile bump showing hints of scratchiness when pressed slowly. However, off-center key presses are decently scratchy throughout the travel, especially towards the bottom. Maybe it's the housing material, but I'm not too sure. Overall, these are just above average. It's nothing special. 6 out of 10. Now, the weighting is medium stiff with an actuation force of 55 grams at 2 mm and a bottom out force of 95 grams at 4 mm of total travel. The tactile bump occurs before the actuation point, similar to the MX Brown, but the MX Clear's tactility is much greater, as you can see from this force curve. Now, with the specs out of the way, I have to say I really love the weighting of these switches. They feel absolutely perfect for my fingers, which surprised me given how many people swap the springs for a lighter weighting, but for me it's perfect as it is. Honestly, top marks, 10 out of 10. Yes, 10 out of 10. This switch deserves that, and that's a score I've never given out ever. Moving on to sound, which for this switch is decent. It's okay, I mean, it's not exactly going to provide you with the deepest thocks, at least not in stock form anyway. 6 out of 10. Now for the typing demo, enjoy. Now, typing on these have been super comfortable. The weighting really does bring it to life for me. Additionally, these also happen to be my fastest typing switch to date, which is a surprise to me again. However, it does have a couple of downsides. Number 1, whilst these are more tactile than MX Browns, it still lacks tactility, especially when typing at speed. So yes, these still aren't tactile enough for me. Don't get me wrong, they are better, but nowhere near perfect. Number 2, these exactly aren't the smoothest either. There are smoother options out there like the Zelio lineup as an example, which consists of very smooth tactile switches. Now, depending on where you look, those are a bit more expensive, but you get what you pay for, smoothness wise anyway. Overall, whilst I really like these, they do have some shortcomings which I hope Cherry fixes. 7 out of 10. Now, I found gaming on these to be quite fun and relaxing. However, just like for typing, it does have shortcomings. Number 1, when pressing a key slowly, especially off-center, it does have noticeable scratchiness, making predictions a touch more difficult than it needs to be. It's actually not too bad, but it could definitely be better. Number 2. The switches also aren't very tactile when gaming. I mostly rely on tactile switches to give me a confirmed press to feel for in very heated situations, which the MX Clear did not always deliver. With that said, if you are looking for a heavier tactile switch for gaming, have a look at the MX Clear. It's definitely an improvement over the MX Brown if that's what you're wondering. 7 out of 10. In conclusion, I really like this switch. Whilst it's not the smoothest or the best sounding, it's a great choice for typing and gaming, especially over the god-awful MX Brown. The final score for this switch is 36 out of 50 or 72%, ranking it second just behind the Silent Black Ink. Anyway, next time I'll be heading even deeper into the rabbit hole. Until then, take care and goodbye.